This guy always annoys me. This guy right here. Is he a midget? Or is he just a really mature looking little boy? I, I can't tell. I could never tell. If I ever meet him in real life, I'd be like, "Hello, sir." This guy also looks eerily like Osama bin Laden. Anyway, this whole poison date thing with the one-eyed assassin may seem contrived to some, but there's a reason for it. World War II doesn't start until 1939. So the Germans want to cover their tracks by not having Indy riddled with German bullets or mysteriously disappear, because then the US government would have a high reason to believe that the Germans killed Indy, and that would be kind of like an act of war, just a little, you know? Some of you may think, why don't they just kill Indy by now? But the reason is pretty sound and logical. In a spy movie, you'd see shit like this all the time. The interesting thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark is that it has a dash of spy movie intrigue. The Germans hired the Arab swordsman because it would look like Indy was murdered by some aggravated locals. All this is really implied, and that can be a double-edged sword in that the audience may or may not pick it up. All we really get is back when the Germans nodded off to the Arab swordsman right before they attacked Indy. But considering that, you think back to the basket scene and wonder why this asshole here decided to unload a fucking machine gun on Indy. But the real question then is, was he really trying to shoot Indy? Or just scare him off? Then you think about how he so obviously missed. So we all know the scene with the Arab swordsman. Indy just shoots the guy. Spielberg had originally planned a whole fight scene that would take 3 more days to shoot. I think you can still see an early indication of that when you notice Ford preparing his whip right before it cuts to him just shooting the guy. However, filming in Tunisia had given Ford a case of dysentery, and Ford became irritable and requested just shooting the swordsman. So now we get this wonderful scene purely by accident, which also fantastically plays on Indy's character. This is something that he would do. Let's go to a scene I love here when Marion is taken away in the baskets. The direction here is flawless as Indy rushes to the camera and looks absolutely shocked. This leaves the audience to wonder what it is he's looking at. Now, they don't cut to what he's looking at. Simply cutting away wouldn't have the same effect. This is a classic gag that has been done before, sure, especially in cartoons, but it still works well because of how it's directed. Fast forwarding, Marion is presumed dead after the truck she was last seen in blows up. Indy has a little drink, and then here's a conversation piece that all action and adventure movies must have. A talk with the villain. This is crucial because if you want the audience to know what the villain is like and how they interact with the hero, you need to set up a scene that would make sense. This scene serves to develop the opposing natures of Belloc and Indy. Everything I said in part 1 about Indy and Belloc representing 2 different things come out right here. Belloc is smug and tempting. Indy is crass and vengeful. The major point of the hero-villain conversation is that the villain critiques the hero by trying to persuade that they are alike. After all, the greatest trick the devil pulled off was making people believe he didn't exist. Am I right? We can infer from this rear shot that Indy is surrounded by enemies. Once Indy tries to do the one thing that's all on our minds, Belloc plays his card and Indy can't do anything about it. After this, there's not that much to really critique. The plot moves along and Indy goes off with Sallah to find the Ark. Indy reunites with Marion, who is still alive, and then we get into the exciting revelation of the lost Ark. I love this shot here indicating that time is passing as the workers dig. You get the feeling here that Indy is the executive. He's just like walking around like he has his big boy pants on, like, yeah, I got people digging for me. It's also kind of a plot hole in that Indy is just digging right next to the Nazi camp. He's just openly taking off his Arab disguise and putting on his fedora. So clearly God here is pissed off as a sudden storm approaches. This scene is short, but interesting because we see through Indy's reaction that he's fucking crazy about opening the Well of the Souls to find the Ark. It's in these brief moments that you can realize that Indy does have a little Belloc inside of him, that obsession for the prize. Now, Revealing the artifact is very important. You don't want to just show it as Indy and Sallah open the box. You need to continue whetting the audience's appetite. This isn't some Zelda shit like, "Bah!" This suspense here is done through longer takes. We're not cutting to anything. We're not distracting the audience with anything else. We're solely focused on the box and thinking, oh my god, it's in there, isn't it? Open it, open it. Indy, what are you doing? Why are you stroking it like it's a dick? Fucking fuck. This is an artifact that the audience has so far only heard about in words and seen in one tiny illustration in a Bible. It's not until Indy and Sallah both work together to lift the ark that we finally see it.